Hi lovelies, welcome back for this new Journal on Monday. This is France and this is week 86 of the Journal on Monday series. You massively voted for the distress stains last week on my blog, so that will be my main product for today's video. I'm first applying some gesso on top of a stencil and I'm using a piece of cut and dry to do so. I just want a thin layer of resist on my paper. I'm working in my handmade art journal, which is filled with watercolor paper. This is the Montval paper from Canson. You can find the complete list of ingredients, products I used, colors on my blog. So now that my gesso is dried, I can start colorizing with the distress stains. And I selected 3 shades of blue and 1 shade of green. And as I want to keep the background very soft, I'm applying the distress stain using a baby wipe. So I'm picking up the color with my baby wipe and then I'm spreading it on the paper. And once my baby wrap is too dirty, I'm taking a clean one. And using that same clean baby wipe, I'm cleaning up the gesso so that it stands out a tiny bit. But I want to keep everything soft for this background. And as I still have some ink left over on my craft sheet, I'm picking it up with a pipette and I'm adding some drips on my spread. As I had to press quite hard on my bottles, I still have some ink over on the cushions of the distress stain, so I'm using that to add some more drips as well. This is the walnut stain from the distress stain, and I'm using that one to add a shade around my spread. And to blend it again, I'm using a baby wipe. As long as you keep adding moisture, be it water or another source of ink, you will be able to blend the distress stains. They're not permanent, they're water soluble. These are leftover strips of watercolor paper from another art journaling that I've been making. And using the same distress stains, I'm colorizing them, except that this time I'm softly blending the colors with my finger. And you can already see the difference with what I have in my journal. The colors are more striking because I didn't blend them with a baby wipe. And now that those are dry, I can add some splatters with water. And as you can see, it's quite an effect on this kind of ink. Now I want to leave some more white on this piece of paper, so I'm not colorizing the complete surface using the distress stain, but I'm using it to make some drippage. And again, resizing the paper, so I'm taking part of the white away. adding some splatters of water, just like I did on the other pieces. And I'm using the walnut stain ink pad to colorize the edges because I want to keep it quite soft. And as the paper has been ripped, which means it's very porous, it would pick up a lot of distress stain if I would do this with distress stain. That's why I'm doing it with the pad this time. And now I can glue everything in my art journal. This is cambric, which you can buy at the pharmacy. And this is the metallic distress stain, which I will be mixing with modeling paste. Now you really have to work it to mix those two together because it has a chemical reaction that makes the modeling paste clog together. And to make it a bit more fluid, I'm adding walnut stain distress stain. Now before going in, I did a little test on a piece of paper, just like I tested the colors that I wanted to work with. And now I'm applying my colorized modeling paste over my piece of cambric just to make very soft little imprints on the paper. It's not an easy thing to do. The cambric tends to move as it's not fixated on the paper, but it's a fun technique to have a very soft extra texture on your paper. And you can leave the cambric to dry and use it on another project. For the next layer, I'm going back in with gesso again, this time with my finger and over a circle stencil. Once my circles are dried, I can colorize them, and this time I'm using metallic oil pastels. Well, they're not all metallics, but when you mix metallics with non-metallics, the shine of the metallics contaminates the non-metallics, if that makes sense. So I have a white metallic and a light blue metallic, and to that I'm adding a normal blue. And then I'm blending everything just with my finger. And the fun thing is the texture of the paper underneath coming through. I really like that. It adds those lines in the circles, which are a fun detail. To accentuate the shading, I'm adding a darker blue very lightly on the outside of the darker side of the circle. Taking a new piece of cambric and the same shades of blue that I used to colorize the background, I am now colorizing this piece of cambric with it. And I just sprayed a tiny bit of water so that the colors would blend in nicely. Adding some stains with the walnut stain and spraying some water over it so that the colors blend again. And I want to add this to the side of my spread, but I want to add some sewing. So I'm placing a strip of paper underneath it, using double-sided tape, and then I could run it through my sewing machine. You can hardly see it, but I did add some sewing. Now you can see it. Another strip of double-sided tape, and now I can stick it down in my art journal. This is a Tim Holtz embellishment, which of course I gave a home rusting treatment. And I'm putting it in place with a thin of our bread that has also been rusted. I'm adding a tiny bit of glue to make sure that my embellishment won't spin around on the spread. And yes, the bread is going through my paper. That's okay. That will give me some nice texture on the next page. Just adding a bit of journaling. And that's it for today. Don't forget to go over to my blog to vote for next week's video. And have a good one. Ta-da!